approaching on the Matthew Gomez case, and Judge, he's here and it's on your bond docket, but there's a BVR issue. I've talked with the state about it. Talk to them about what I think are some interesting issues, kind of by way of background in our case. And the state had previously offered, though we had not yet gotten the contract, to do a 90-day mental health PTI, which we felt was appropriate. They're going to review with the felony court to determine whether they still believe that may be appropriate, but they can't do that at the moment. They're going to have to get some feedback and find out a little bit more information about the new felony charge. I read the cases and think there's issues with both of the cases. But there is the pending BVR based on having picked up the new felony charge and need to...
Is he here?
Yes, he's here.
Come up.
Call him up.
Please.
And it's not really our issue to delve into, but I think there's issues with the way the police officers maybe made the stop in the new case. And
If he's picked up a felony offense, I'm very upset.
we understand. And
Let me express my disappointment with you, Mr. Gomez. You picked up a felony assault of a peace officer while you're on bond for this case. What happened, please?
So in the felony, the officer dispatched to a suspicious person call at a closed gas station. They observed the defendant walking around the vacant lot holding 2 glass bottles of Corona beer, indicating possible intoxication. They attempted to stop and identify the defendant, but he ignored commands and walked away towards the main road. And despite multiple warnings, he refused to comply, and he threw a glass bottle at an officer before fleeing on foot. Officers pursued the defendant for half a mile before detaining him, and while being transferred between patrol units, the defendant had already moved his hand restraints to the front of his body, and the officer attempted to reposition the restraints behind him. That's when the defendant pulled away and struck the officer's left thumb with his elbow, causing pain, redness, and tenderness. And then the defendant attempted to flee again, but was taken to the ground.
And I think there's issues with walking up and saying, we see someone and no more. Well,
It's not our case to litigate.
Well, I know.
All I know is that you've now picked up a felony case. Where'd you going? I got to take him.
Well, Judge, if we're going to be revoking him on that, then I do think it is our issue to delve into. And I think there's issues with the way he stopped. And, but if that's going to be the basis to revoke him, then this court doesn't. But the entirety of the information that the officers receive is based on what I would contend is an illegal stop. You can't just walk up and say, without more, there's no
Go
reason.
up to a guy and say, hey, let's talk.
No, that's not what they said. They said, walked up and said, show me your ID. And that's an illegal detention. That is a detention, and it's one that's unlawful under the circumstances.
I don't know.
Well, I'd like to set it for a hearing if we're going to do that.
Sure.
And he posted bond, $10,000